and I hurt so bad inside.
In the deep woods of rural Ohio, nestled between gravel roads and hunting cabins, a town slept peacefully, unaware of what was about to unfold. Before sunrise, 8 members of the same family would be dead, each one shot execution style in 4 different homes, all within a span of hours. No forced entry, no stolen property, no witnesses, no suspects, and most haunting of all, the children were left alive. This wasn't a random act of violence. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. It was something far colder, far more deliberate. Someone had planned this, and they had planned it well. They entered each home quietly. They killed with chilling precision. Some victims were shot as they slept. Others were dragged from bed and silenced. One, just 16, died shielding her baby. But somehow, not a single neighbor heard a thing. The victims all belonged to the same extended family. The Rodens. They were hardworking, private, tied to the land and to each other. When news of their deaths broke, rumors exploded. Was it drugs? A hit job? A feud? A message? But no theory made sense, because whoever did this didn't just want to end lives. They wanted to erase a bloodline. Weeks passed, then months. No arrests, no answers. The killer, or killers, seemed to vanish into the fog. And that's when the real twist came. Because the people responsible weren't strangers. They weren't outsiders. They were family friends, godparents, people the Rodens had trusted. This is not just the story of 8 murders. It's the story of betrayal, of obsession, of control so toxic, it shattered an entire family tree. This is the story of the Pike County Massacre. Pike County, Ohio. A place where life moves slow. Where neighbors wave as they pass each other on 2-lane roads, and no one locks their doors at night. It's a county where generations stay put, on land passed down in homes built by hand. Where deer hunting season is a family tradition, and Sunday mornings are spent in folding chairs at small country churches. It's the kind of place where people don't just know each other's names, they know each other's dogs, their tractors, their secrets. And it's why, when the Roden family was found slaughtered, it didn't just shake the town. It shattered a way of life. The Rodens were Pike County. Christopher Roden Sr., a father of 5, worked with his hands, hunted in the fall, smoked on his porch in the evening. He was the kind of man who could fix your roof, cut your deer, or take in your child if you couldn't. His kids were following in his footsteps, hardworking, loyal, deeply tied to each other. Frankie and Hannah, Chris Jr. and Clarence, each of them lived just minutes from one another. Their homes formed a loose circle in the woods, like a family compound, scattered across the brush. Their lives were humble. No big vacations, no spotlight. But what they had, they built together. Their days were filled with kids, animals, early mornings, and long drives down dirt roads. And nearby, watching closely, was another family. The Wagners. The Wagners were God-fearing, stoic, seemingly upstanding. George Billy Wagner, the patriarch, kept to himself but was respected. His wife, Angela, ran the household with strict rules and even stricter loyalty. Their sons, George IV and Jake, had grown up alongside the Roden children, played with them, ate at their tables. In fact, Jake Wagner had once been in a relationship with Hannah Roden. They shared a daughter. And that daughter would become the center of a storm no one saw coming. What no one knew at the time was that under the surface of church potlucks and friendly waves, a custody battle was quietly brewing. A legal fight that would become deadly. The Rodens didn't see it coming. And neither did Pike County. 2 families, once tied by blood, would soon be torn apart by it. It was a Friday morning like any other. April 22, 2016. The sun was just beginning to warm the fields. Mist still clung to the trees lining Union Hill Road. But at 7:49 a.m., that calm was pierced by a single phone call. The caller was Bobby Jo Manley. She had come to check on her brother-in-law, Christopher Roden Sr. But what she found would trigger one of the largest murder investigations in Ohio history. Inside the trailer on Union Hill Road lay the bodies of Christopher Roden Sr. and his cousin Gary Roden. Both shot execution style. No sign of forced entry. No struggle. Just silence. As officers arrived, they were met not with one crime scene, but a nightmare expanding in every direction. At a second home, they found Clarence Frankie Roden and his fiancée Hannah Gilley, both killed in their bed. Their infant son, miraculously unharmed. At another trailer, Dana Roden, mother of 5, was found with multiple gunshot wounds. And at yet another, 16-year-old Christopher Jr. was discovered, executed as he slept. By mid-morning the death toll had risen to 8. Not in one place, but across 4 separate locations. All members of the same family. No signs of robbery. No signs of forced entry. No survivors, except the babies. Someone had moved in the dark, house to house, room to room, and executed the rodents, one by one. The horror spread fast. The sheriff's department had never seen anything like it. They called in the state, then the feds. Rumors exploded. Was it a cartel hit? A gang vendetta? Was more blood about to spill? The town shut down. Schools closed. Residents armed themselves. For the first time in Pike County's history, people locked their doors. 8 lives lost. For crime scenes. 0 suspects. No clear motive. And no answers. But behind the scenes, there was one family, watching closely. A family who had played board games with the rodents. Shared birthdays. Shared custody. And they were hiding something. What no one could yet imagine, was that the killers weren't strangers. They were family. The Wagner family faced a storm of charges. 8 counts of aggravated murder each, plus dozens of related felonies. Prosecutors laid out a chilling narrative. This wasn't just a killing, it was an orchestration. As the courtroom filled, so did the air with unease. The community watched every motion hearing, every expression from the defendants, hoping for a glimpse of remorse. The Wagners pleaded not guilty. But the state's case was vast. Thousands of documents, forensics, digital traces, secret recordings. Jake Wagner, once the quiet father, now sat at the heart of it all. On April 22, 2021, 5 years to the day after the murders, Jake Wagner stood before a judge and changed everything. Guilty, Your Honor. In exchange for life without parole, Jake confessed to all 8 killings and agreed to testify against his family. He detailed the planning, the surveillance, the weapons, and the night of the massacre. His voice was flat. His words methodical. A father confessing to killing the mother of his child, and 6 of her family members. The courtroom fell silent. The truth had finally spoken. Angela Wagner soon followed. She too pleaded guilty, conspiracy, evidence tampering, helping forge custody papers. She admitted her role as a planner, but denied pulling any triggers. George Wagner chose to go to trial. The proceedings began in 2022 and ran for weeks. Prosecutors painted him as a participant in the plan, someone who helped scout, transport, and conceal. His defense claimed he never pulled the trigger. The jury didn't buy it. Verdict, guilty on all counts. The last piece? Billy Wagner. His trial loomed ahead, delayed but inevitable. Slowly justice closed in. April 22, 2021. 5 years to the day since 8 members of the Roden family were found murdered in their homes. In a hushed courtroom, Edward Jake Wagner stood before the judge. Hands shackled. Face expressionless. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor. Not once. Not twice. But 8 times. Each count representing a life extinguished in the darkness. A father. A mother. A brother. A sister. A young couple. 2 more brothers. Jake Wagner confessed to personally killing 5 of the victims. He named each one. He admitted to preparing silencers, disabling surveillance cameras, and coordinating each shooting with his family. No emotion. No hesitation. Just the facts. The courtroom, filled with the Rodens' loved ones, broke into stunned silence. Some wept. Others stared at the man they once shared holidays with. The motive, Jake said, was simple: control. The custody of his daughter with Hannah Roden had been a source of mounting tension. Hannah had drawn a line in a text. They'll have to kill me first. And so they did. Angela Wagner, Jake's mother, soon followed his path. She entered a guilty plea, admitting to helping forge documents, hack devices, and surveil the Roden family. Her role? The planner. The enabler. The mind behind the executioners. George Wagner IV, Jake's brother, took a different path. He pleaded not guilty, insisting he played no role in the killings. But prosecutors presented a compelling picture. He helped plan, provided support, and was present during the massacre. Testimony came from inside the family, including Jake. The jury deliberated for just over a day. Verdict, guilty on all counts. 8 murders. Conspiracy. Tampering with evidence. Forgery. George IV sat still as the verdicts were read, stone-faced, like the night of the murders. The last to face justice? George Billy Wagner III, the patriarch. The man prosecutors say helped plan every step, trained his sons to kill, and once bragged that no one could ever pin anything on him. He pleaded not guilty. His trial is set for 2025. But the story isn't over. As the courtroom confessions unfolded, what emerged wasn't just a massacre, it was a family conspiracy wrapped in deception, forged by control, and fueled by a desire to own a child's future, at any cost. The truth shattered the illusion of innocence in a place where everyone knew everyone. But no one knew what the Wagners were truly capable of. The courtroom confessions changed everything. Not just for the justice system, but for a small Ohio town that would never again sleep with its doors unlocked. In the quiet stretches of Pike County, the winds still carry whispers of what was lost. The homes where laughter once echoed now stand in solemn silence. But out of unspeakable tragedy, something unexpected has taken root. Resilience. The Roden name, once associated only with grief, has become a symbol of hope. A local high school scholarship now bears their name, given to students who show compassion, strength, and the will to rise after loss. Memorial gardens bloom near the town's edge. Trees planted in memory of Chris Sr., Dana, Frankie, Hannah, and the rest, each a quiet sentinel of remembrance. And then, there are the children. The ones left behind. Those found alive in the homes that morning. Children who heard the silence. Who grew up learning what had happened, piece by piece, year by year. They're being raised by extended family, by a community that refuses to let the past define their future. Across Pike County, the question lingers: how could this happen? Two families, once bound by grandchildren, holidays, and borrowed tools, now separated by blood, betrayal, and bars. The Wagners, once respected, now reviled. Their legacy isn't of faith or family, but of control, secrecy, and manipulation. In community halls and local therapy centers, conversations continue. About trust. About red flags that were missed. About the importance of listening to those who say they feel unsafe. And about the price paid when family loyalty becomes a weapon. Pike County may never fully heal. Some wounds run too deep. But in classrooms, in church basements, in the soft hush of community vigils, there's a quiet promise that the Rodens will never be forgotten. And that no child, no mother, no brother, will ever be silenced in the dark again. 8 lives lost. 4 lives sentenced. But the story isn't over. One man, Billy Wagner, still waits for his day in court. And with that, the final chapter remains unwritten. Do you believe justice has been served? Do you believe one man could orchestrate this alone? Or that it took a family to destroy another? What drives a mother to surveil another? What makes a son pull the trigger? What kind of fear justifies such a plan? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment below. If this story shook you, if it made you ask questions no one dares to answer, then subscribe. Because when Billy Wagner goes to trial, we'll be watching. And we'll be here, telling the whole story.